So we are live from Crusaders headquarters. I am King Nico, and if you are watching and listening to this stream, you are the resistance. So welcome to today's show, everyone. As you may already have seen from the thumbnail, we're being joined by none other than Edward Hendrie. So Edward is with us today to go over the final experiment and to add to the debunking of it. Let me just bring up some stuff here. So as you know, we spent a good couple of months exposing the final experiment that took place in what was supposed to be Antarctica, but everything that we've uncovered is pretty much pointing to they were nowhere near there. So the final experiment, #done. So Edward Hendrie, the author of Solving the Mystery of Babylon the Great. We've got the Sphere of Influence, the heliocentric perversion of the gospel. And one that you may all be familiar with is The Greatest Lie on Earth, proof that our world is not a moving globe. As you can see, I already had my expanded edition purchased back in 22, so I didn't just order it because Edward was here today. So I'd like to welcome everyone, Mr. Edward Hendrie.
Thank you. Introduction of me, most important thing about me is I'm a Christian saved by the grace of God. And that's probably the most important aspect of it. And upon being saved, he opened my eyes to spiritual truths as well as spiritual wickedness. So reading from the book of Ephesians, I just want to make a point that what we're going to be addressing during the show is not really scientific issues, but spiritual issues. This is a spiritual issue. You might think that whether the earth is flat and or whether it's a sphere is a scientific issue, but it's not, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But first, we have to understand that we wrestle not, and I'm quoting from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And that's ultimately what we are up against. And that is spiritual wickedness in high places. And if you read the Bible, you come across the recurring theme that God reveals there is a conspiracy of the rulers of this world against him. In Acts chapter 4, it quotes from 2 Psalms, and it says, "The kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered against the Lord and against his Christ." So the rulers of this world are in a conspiracy against Jesus Christ. And one thing that they've done is they have infiltrated the churches and gotten the churches to think of the gospel as only a small portion of the Bible, when in fact the gospel is literally God's spell, God's word. It is the entire Bible, from Genesis to Revelation. It includes God's creation. God's creation is part of the gospel. And Jesus made the point in John chapter 3, verse 12. He said, "I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not. How shall ye believe if I tell you heavenly things?" So he makes the point that the earthly things he tells us about in, for example, the Genesis creation account and throughout the Bible, that those are very important. He is the creator. And he made the point in John chapter 5, verses 46 and 47. "For had ye believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words?" Now remember, Moses wrote Genesis. And when he said Moses wrote of him, why? Because Jesus Christ is the creator of all things. We know that in the book of Colossians, chapter 1. it talks about Jesus Christ created all things. So Moses wrote about Jesus' creation of the world. Now, the importance of that is this. He reveals himself through his creation. And that is why whether the earth is flat and whether it moves is important, because he reveals in the Bible, and we read this in Romans chapter 1, the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead. So he reveals himself through his creation. Well, if people have a perverted view of his creation, then they're not going to understand God. They're going to have in their minds a heliocentric God. But there is not a heliocentric creation. So a heliocentric God does not exist. He reveals himself through his creation. And so if people have a perverted view of his creation, they're going to have a perverted view of God.
Yeah.
We read in the book of Psalms, 93rd Psalm, okay? It says, the Lord reigneth. He's clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength. The world also is established that it cannot be moved. So he equates his strength, his majesty, with the fact that the world is established. It is established and it cannot be moved. It's stationary. The fact that the world does not spin, okay, is part of the gospel, and it reveals part of his character, part of his majesty, part of his strength, the fact that the earth cannot be moved. If the earth moves, then God cannot be that strong, see? Now, the importance of understanding God's, and the importance of understanding his creation is understand God. And the reason that the powers that be, the spiritual powers in high places, want to have us think that the world is a spinning sphere in outer space, one of many, is that they're trying to conceal God from the minds of men. They don't want men to understand that we have a flat earth with a dome over it, okay? Because people would then start to think, well, wait a minute, this is it. God's close by. He's up above us in heaven. And they want to learn about God. But if they're taught that we have a spinning globe and that we are rotating around a sun that's one of many millions of suns, and that we see as stars in the sky, okay, then people think, well, we're not so special. There are maybe other beings and other galaxies and so forth. Exactly. And so the idea is to drive the limitations in the Bible from the soul of men so that they become licentious. And Edmund Burke made the point that it is ordained, he said, in eternal constitution of things that men of intemperate minds cannot be free. Their passions forge their fetters. So, and the idea is that if you don't have a belief in God, and you don't believe that there are eternal rules that you should comport with, and then you commit sin, and sin is harmful to others, then what must happen? What must happen is if you don't govern your behavior, that government has to come from the outside. That you have to have laws and liberties taken away from people, because in acting out their freedom to be licentious, then they harm other people, and it's an excuse for the governments to now clamp down. It is a recipe for tyranny. And we see that in Orwell's 1984, in a dialogue that the protagonist had with O'Brien. Now, Winston, the protagonist, was being tortured by O'Brien. And O'Brien said, we control matter because we control the mind. And he had a debate with Winston. They were going back and forth. And the point that O'Brien was making was that, and he used the stars and the planets as an example. He said, do you suppose that maybe they're only a few kilometers away, and yet we make you think that they're millions of miles away? And he said, don't you recall doublethink? And doublethink is where people know the truth, but they speak lies. Don't you suppose that our mathematicians are equal to doing that? So that is revealed in George Orwell's 1984, the very thing they're doing. That's why this is so important. That's why the final experiment was created, in order to make people think that the Earth is a spinning globe, and they lie. Okay, and we've caught them. We caught them, and in fact, let's look at one of the methods they use to falsely portray a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And let me set this up. So they went down to Antarctica, a group of shill flat earthers and people who believe the spinning globe, with the expectation that they were going to, and they said so, they were going to prove that the Earth was a sphere. And they set up all these cameras, and they filmed they created videos that portrayed a sun rotating over their head over a 24-hour period. Now, according to the Gleason model of the flat Earth, that would be an impossibility. So they viewed this as a proof that the Earth, in fact, does spin, and that there is a far-off sun, and it's spinning because it was able to rotate. They were able to see the sun rotate around when they were in Antarctica. But there was evidence of video trickery. And I'll show you a couple of the evidence that we've uncovered of video trickery. Now, think about it this way. If they had to use fakery in order to prove that there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, that could only mean one thing. There really isn't a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. If they had to phony it up, then they wouldn't need to do that if it was really a 24-hour sun. And think about it this way. ALE, the group that was used to facilitate this final experiment.
Yeah.
Well, if they go down there all the time, why didn't they just present a time-lapse photograph or time-lapse or a 360 camera, just put it up there and do it anytime they go down there? Why did we have to have this big show, this big circus? It's obvious. This circus is a fraud.
Yeah,
because any time they've ever tried to show a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, it has been shown to be a fraud. And we'll look at an example of that in just a moment. But let's look at Jaron Campanella's body cam that he had. It was he had a GoPro chest cam attached to his chest, and he's walking around the camp. And as we'll see, and I'll narrate it as we go through it, but I'm just going to give you a heads up so you know what to look for. As you'll see, there'll be a distinctive cloud in the sky, and he'll be walking towards the restrooms. And as he walks towards the restroom, you will notice that the cloud in the sky, which is approximately a mile high, is my estimation, will follow the lens of the camera. So as he walks towards the latrine, you will see the cloud drop in the sky about 2,000 feet in about 13 seconds, which is, if you calculate it out, about 90 miles per hour. And clouds, as you know, are water mist, and it would be misshapen or disappear at that point. So it's not something that would happen naturally. This is obvious evidence that that sky is some kind of computer-generated imagery. And so let's start, and I'll show it to you. And it's very subtle, and they missed it in their editing. So it's now for us to see. And by the way, if you ever have a chance, you might want to download his stuff, because they have a habit of, when we find things, to go back and edit them out. So here we go. All right. I'm not going to talk.
Elephant head.
I take that back. All right. Well, I'll point out the clouds. All right. And I hope you can see my mouse.
So.
All right. Look at this cloud right up here. See that cloud? Keep your eyes on it. Here. All right. He's going to turn around, and then as he walks towards it,
use the restroom.
Here's the cloud.
And then I got two.
There it is. That cloud right up the screen. It's in a W shape.
Dropping. It's staying right. There it goes.
Whoa. You can see it. It was a little bit choppy, Ed, but can you play that back again a bit and see if we can get it to run a bit smoother?
Now that is not a natural. Okay, here he comes. There's the cloud right up here. Keep an eye on that white cloud.
But it looks like we're leaving a day early.
And there it is.
So we'll try and keep this running.
Goes below the latrine.
But
yeah,
okay.
It didn't play properly, Ed. Sorry. It was like frozen for a bit and only started.
That is proof is artificial. They goofed. And that's on his GoPro. So it's quite obvious there was some post-production done with that GoPro video. Now we have other evidence, and I will go to, let's see, I'm gonna.
Ed, can you hear me?
Oh, hold on. Stop sharing. Yep, are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening. So it was freezing a lot. So some people said that it was really choppy. They didn't get to see it. It kind of got close in the first time, but
okay, should we do it again?
Yeah, for sure. Please. Let's try and get
it. All right, I'll do it again. Okay.
I did see it, and I want everyone to see. It's a W-shaped cloud. It's in the top. And when Jaron is walking towards the portables, you're going to see that cloud not attached to the sky, but it's tracked with the camera lens, and you're going to see it. So we're going to add it back to the stage and hopefully get it to run smoothly. Thanks again.
Well, you know what? Should I okay. All right, let's go through it again, and then we'll go to my website, and I'll show you the stills that I did. Okay?
Yes.
Hold on. All right. Okay. All right.
Okay. It's playing.
Back.
Yeah, back a bit more.
Okay.
Leave it here a bit.
All right, here we go. Well, it looks like a couple of wings. And when he comes back around, see it up there at the top of the screen?
And then I got to go recharge my phone. My battery died. It looks like we're leaving early.
And you'll see it drop behind the.
But you don't get to see the restroom. Oh.
And we'll look at it again.
And beautiful. I have to.
There it is in the sky.
And then I got to go recharge.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
And you'll see it drop. Being approximately 2 feet there in about 13 seconds.
For a long time?
Which is not possible.
You don't get to see me use the restroom.
All right, we'll come back to that one then. I'll bring it up at the end.
So let me show you. Okay, for those who have had difficulty with the video, we'll go with, I'm going to go to, we'll go to my website and share that, and then we will, and I'll point out the stills. You can see in the stills better. Okay. All right, there's the, all right, let's go down. On my website, on this article, by the way, the article is called The Final Experience is Not So Final. And I go through in detail, and you can pull up the videos. So everything I'm telling you about here is in this article right here. And it's called The Final Experiment is Not So Final. And it's at greatmountainpublishing.com. So all of the videos and the files are right there. Yeah. Now let's, all right, so here is the video out, or the cloud I'm telling you about right there. So right now it's about a mile in the air. That's my estimate. It drops to about 3,000 feet here. So it drops to almost 2,000 feet, okay? So here it is right here, right above the latrine right there, all right? So as he walks, this cloud has dropped to about here in the sky. Well, what it is the computer program they used for the effects in the sky lopped onto that cloud and kept it in the upper part of the lens for his GoPro. They didn't adjust it because when he got to here, that cloud should nowhere be around here at all visible. So it's clearly a glitch in their computer program. Now let's see if I can. Let's go to another.
So again, the link to Edward's website is in the description below for all of you to check it out. greatmountainpublishing.com.
Yeah, it's great. It's greatmountainpublishing.com. So here's another article I did, all right, called Clowns Caught Faking the Final Experiment. And here, and I'm piggybacking on the work, the discovery by Winter Patriot 45. You should go to his YouTube channel, and he did a great job. He discovered this. So what it is there is a seam that was in the sky. So this blue that you see right here, that blue is the sky during the alleged 24-hour video that they set up. Now, as you know, the sky doesn't have a seam, and it's a right angle. It's a seam goes up right up here, it stops there, and it goes off this way. There's a very subtle one you can just see right here, but it's very difficult to see. What happened was, after he revealed that there was that seam in the sky, I went back within a day to pull that video up, and I went right to the spot where he said it was, and it had disappeared. Other people tried to find it, and he actually went back to try to find it, and he said what they did was they went back and they brushed out those lines. So they altered the video after it was revealed. So obviously, this is something they did not, an artifact of their artificial sky, they did not want known. So they quickly went and got rid of it. Well, what I did was I went back about a week later, and I just kept looking. And by the way, I have his video on that in that article, so you can watch his video where he goes through it. So he actually goes through it on his video and shows you the line he found. Well, I went back and I went in the same area, and I kept looking through the video, and sure enough, I found the same lines. Now, they weren't identical, but they're blurred. So you see here, it's blurred. Now, it may be efforts that they made to obscure it, and they weren't successful, but you can see a line coming up and taking a turn right this way. And then there's an obscure little one here. It almost looks like the corner of a room. Now, I can't say that it's a corner of a room because I have seen video CGIs where the seams going from one CGI to another, one part of it does have that kind of artifact. So it could be a corner of a room, or it could be a seam in a CGI created backdrop. And so again, here's another one that I did in another portion. You have to go through the film time frame. And by the way, you can actually pull up the video. I have the video that I took this from, okay, on my website. And I put down the time frame so you can look at the bottom, and I think that's 54, 51. And then this seam was found at 51:18. So you can see when in the video I found it, and you can find it also, okay? And what I did here was I turned up the shadow and contrast using Corel Draw, and you can see the straight lines in here. This is not a natural sky. This is an artificial sky, and you can see the angles coming up here and down here, okay?
That's incredible, Ed. Really good stuff.
Yeah, now there's another one here. They had a lot of continuity errors. So that is, whenever you have so many cameras, there's always a possibility that things will not match up. And some of this you won't even notice. I had a hunch, and I went on that hunch, and I started comparing videos. And sure enough, I discovered that in a couple of instances, the sun is at different heights in different videos. So here we have the same time, the same location on December 16th, and the sun is at this height. But on December 15th, with Jonathan Mirandi, or Marianda, whatever his name is, he's the producer. In fact, I think he's probably the special effects guy who put this together. Wow. He has the sun in the background, and you'll notice that it's a slightly higher, okay? Almost unnoticeable if you didn't go and actually measure it out like I did. So what I did was I scaled it so that these mountains would be the scale. So these mountains I matched up so they'd be at the same height, the same exact scale. And so in relation to the mountain, the sun should be the same height, but it's not. Okay, now they would argue, well, that's because on a different day, the sun would be a different height. Here's the problem with that. This sun on December 16th was lower than the sun on December 15th. The, let's see, what is it? The autumnal, the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere is on December 21st. And so the sun actually gets higher in the sky as you go from December 15th to December 16th, not lower. And so this is actually going backwards towards the summer solstice. And so it's obviously a glitch in their video. So this video was from the 360 cam showing the alleged 24-hour sun. And this was the day before when he was at the camp. They're at the same location, one day apart, and this one is the day after was lower, and actually it should have been higher. Not that much higher, but just a little bit higher. Now, here's another one, all right? So here we have the exact same camera, and as you see, I have the same height for the mountains, the same gauge, the mountains are the same height down here. So in this case, Jaron is walking towards this guy you see on the ground here, and I think that might be McToon, I'm not sure. He's walking towards him, and then about 34 seconds later, the sun had dropped to this height.
Wow.
So here he walks towards McToon, and now the sun has dropped. Well, how did it drop in the sky? Well, obviously, the computer program was not able to correlate the sun height as he moved. When he moved, they got it wrong. The computer program got it wrong, okay, and put the sun at the wrong height. So here you have an example of where there's a glitch. Now, the real sun doesn't drop like that in 34 seconds, all right? So that's more evidence of computer fakery.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant.
So here, let's see. Now, this is an article I wrote about Duffy's promise to call Steve. He goes by Hey Dude. And this is a big, why is it a big deal? Because Duffy made it a big deal before he went down there. He thought this was such a great idea. He said, absolutely. And I have the video down here where he promised, the video is right here on the website, where he promises that he's going, when he gets down there, he's going to call Steve right around midnight, Ushuaia time, which would be exactly midnight in the Union Glacier Station time. So it's the same time. And that would have been right around, I think, 3:30 or 3 o'clock in, midnight would be 3 o'clock in England where Steve was. And so what Steve did was he didn't get the call. So at about 3:30, he tuned in and saw that there was a live stream going on, and allegedly a live stream. It was not really a live stream because he was supposed to have called Steve at that time, and he didn't. He did not do it. Now, during the alleged live stream, he mentioned Steve, and he mentioned that he could see the sun behind him, but he didn't actually call him real time, which he had promised to do. That's huge. That's huge because it reveals that the one way that he said would verify that they were actually there and actually seeing the midnight sun would be a real-time call to Steve. And he never made that call. And I think the call was supposed to be through WhatsApp and never made the call.
Never did.
Yeah.
There was a lot that they never did. A lot of live streams never happened. And as we're 2 months now later, we're still waiting on all this terabytes of footage and data, which is yet to be released.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of anomalies in what they did. So, for example, they had a lot of mistakes made regarding their set direction. So, for example, if you look at, now this is an article I did, set direction mistakes. You can read all the details. But bottom line is, and I'll try to make this larger here. Let's see, so you can see it. So these are all these arrows. This is Mount Rossman here. Okay, this is my depiction of Mount Rossman, which is supposed to be right. This area would be Union Glacier Camp, which is supposed to be where they were. And this is Mount Rossman is supposed to be south of Union Glacier Camp. But the guides were giving directions all over the place. So one guide said it was this way, south was that way, and then later on, he said about 35 seconds later, he points off in this direction and says south is that way. And then Jonathan Marianda, later on, he pulls out a compass, and his compass says south is this way. And then another guide, very close in time to this guide, says that south is this direction. They're all over the place. So apparently this, I guess, what would you call a virtual world that they had created made it difficult for them to have their directions straight. The cues that they were using, they got discombobulated. Because if you assume that the backgrounds were artificial, then naturally they're going to get all mixed up as to where Mount Rossman is and so forth. It was very cleverly done, but they made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and Compass Gate was one of them when Jaren tried to show us south or north on a compass and it was holding it upside down so it could be held in place. That was busted. Yep.
Well, here's another one. Here's another video glitch. This one's not so obvious. You really had to look. And really wouldn't catch it unless you were paying attention, and you have to know what to look for. So this is the sun crosses this camera here, okay? And the computer program very cleverly is able to, well, here, you know what? Before I get to the camera, let me go down here and show you the glitches from Anthony Powell's documentary. So Anthony Powell's documentary film was proven to be a fraud. And he went down to Antarctica. He showed the 24-hour sun, and his video was picked apart and proven to be a fraud. And he was one of the technical advisors on the final experiment. And Duffy said that one of his objectives was to redeem Anthony Powell's name because he'd been so slandered by the allegation that his video was fake. And his video is in a documentary. And the documentary film I have posted on this for this article. So the title of the article is Video Glitches Prove Final Experiment Use CGI. So here you can pull that up. And they're all listed on the right-hand side, the links in order. But if you go down and you look at the video that he did of the sun. So here's frame one, shows the sun about to cross this light post, right?
Yeah.
So it's going across the light post. When it gets behind the light post, you'll notice what happens. And I drew a circle where the sun's supposed to be. It completely disappears. Why? Because the computer program noticed a barrier, but it could not understand that the barrier was thin. So it blocked out the entire sun, left only a little line right there. So the sun disappears. So there's the sun. There's the sun going across, and boom, it disappears. And then it reappears. It reappears on the other side of the pole. All right. And then it's now coming. It almost washes out the bulb. You'll see the bulb right here. You have a clear glass covering over the lamp, and then you have a bulb in the inside, a translucent bulb. So as it approaches the bulb, what does it do? It disappears again. Why?
Wow.
Remember, this glass is clear. It shouldn't block the sun. The reason it blocked the sun is the computer program perceived it as an object, but didn't realize that it was a clear object. And so it blocked out the sun, okay, pretending that the sun had gone behind the object, but it was a clear object. And you'll see here, that's where the sun should be, but there's nothing there. And then the sun, then it goes beyond that, and you'll see the sun reappear on the other side. So that's just an example, not to mention the fact that in that video, the start, when he started it, and the end of it is exactly the same clouds. Okay, very embarrassing, which shows it was a loop. They just created a loop with a fake sun. Now, what they did, the final experiment, and they had him as a technical advisor, but apparently the CGI computer program that they use still has that glitch, still is not able to very well distinguish between a thick object and a thin object. So here we have the sun coming across the camera, and you'll see this little, there's a very thin piece of, it's a cross piece there.
I see it.
So as it comes across the camera, you can see right here, it washes out that cross piece as it goes behind it. All right, now it keeps going behind it, and then boom, it's behind the cross piece and completely disappears. Wow, now this cross piece is not thick enough to block out the entire sun. Okay, the sun should still be able to wash it out, just as it's doing up here. Just as it's doing up here, it should wash it out, but it doesn't. See, it completely blocks the sun, that little piece, and then the piece emerges on the other side and illuminates, and then it continues on its way. So these are the kind of video glitches that they have. Now here's another one where they pretended to verify the final experiment dates. So you have Jaron, and he's in the airport, and remember, he's at the airport on December 14th. This article was written on December 12th. He's not verifying the date. He's showing us a score that happened on December 12th. Why didn't he give us current news? Now, granted, that was at 11, a little past 11 p.m. on December 12th, but nonetheless, he could have given us current news on December 14th, but he didn't. Why? And I'll tell you why. He left San Jose Airport on December 10th. He left from Punta Arenas Airport to go to Antarctica on December 14th. There's 4 days in there that are really unaccounted for. Now, they did have some video goings on, allegedly, in Punta Arenas on December, as I recall, December 13th. But really, we have 4 days unaccounted for. Why would he have to leave on December 10th for a flight that's supposed to be departing on December 14th? That has not been explained. Here we have Dave McKeegan. He shows an article, okay, and he's trying to prove that he is in Antarctica on December 15th. The article he pulls up is from December 13th. Now, why is he pulling up an article from December 13th to prove he's in Antarctica on December 15th? That makes no sense. And he really begrudgingly showed that article. And by the way, it's not a news event. It was a posted article from NASA, of all things, okay? It wasn't a news event that you could verify. So who knows what was going on there? Why would they do that when they could have shown a current news event, but he pulled up an article from December 13th, 2 days earlier? Makes no sense.
So they couldn't confirm the dates that they were there in Antarctica. So they're just taking people for a ride. No stamps in the passports. They look different ages and different versions of the clip, like years apart in ages. So lots of splicing together, lots of deception going on, lots of computer programs being used. I can't believe what you've shown us today.
Yeah. Well, now we haven't heard a lot from Elizabeth Acosta. She was on a interview program with Whitsitt and Jaron, and let's see, who else was it? Oh goodness, Jaron, Whitsitt, and Sean Griffin, and she made a statement. And in her statement, she said about the whole internet thing, I was like, yeah, that was the only, and he's referring to Duffy's initial live stream. He goes, that was the only the first and only live stream that we did down there. She actually made that statement. And she realized that she had goofed by making that statement. And you can watch the interview, but she played it off pretty well, but she actually made that statement. It was never explained. Jaron and Whitsitt looked frozen, stunned. And interesting interaction there. But they didn't, you would think they would correct her, say something about it, but the fact that they never corrected her, never said anything about it, because she corrected herself and said, she corrected it to say, well, it was the first live stream. Okay. She then corrected and said the first live stream. But yeah, some very strange goings on down there. But it's all you got to do is look for the evidence, and you will find it. These people are very powerful. They are very rich, but the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Because they have no fear of the Lord, they are dumb as rocks, and they do make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, they do.
But that's what I've been able to find so far. This was they spent a lot of money on this. And remember, you're dealing with a pastor who, alleged pastor, well, whether he's a pastor or not, who knows, who says it's okay to lie. I mean, he thinks that's just fine. So he that shows you something about his character. And I don't know what quite to make of Whitsitt. He's kind of a fast talker, but he doesn't say a lot. He has these word salads he puts together, tosses them up in the air, and you know, when somebody presents something to him, you know, he denies what's right before your very eyes. Another interesting thing is Jaron actually said that the sun sets in his video in Antarctica. So he's narrating a video, and he was asked by Steve why he said that, and he said he didn't deny saying it. He didn't deny saying it. He said, "I don't know why I said it." So, and you can hear him say it. He catches himself in the middle of saying it. So it's very quick. He says it very quick. Talking about where the sun went, and he said the sun sets. So, yeah, this is an elaborate scam, the final experiment.
So you would agree that the way they tried to pass it off is just an independent researcher?
How they did it, I don't know.
You think that the government entities such as NASA had anything to do with this? Because it has all the
absolutely,
writings,
absolutely. In fact, if you look at the flight logs, if you look at the flight logs, you go to there's a flight channel you can go to see the flights going from Punta Arenas to anywhere really, and there are no flights on those dates going to Antarctica. Now, that's for civilian aircraft. Military aircraft, they would not show up. So if this is a military operation, now remember, Union Glacier Camp is at the same place as Union Glacier Station. Union Glacier Station is run by the Chilean military.
Yeah.
See?
Military control.
Yes. So this would, I mean, they even acknowledged that there was a military camp not far from where they were. And another interesting thing, they talked about the fact that they had to move to a secondary camp because Mount Rossman would have blocked the sun. Yet, I came across just the other day an alleged 24-hour video of the sun in Antarctica that they did during the final experiment from Union Glacier Camp. It was done at the camp. And you can see the sun does not go behind the mountain. So their reason for going to the secondary camp doesn't make sense. Because they posted proof that the sun does not go behind the mountain. And if the sun went behind the mountain, as they allege, or even where it was, that shadow should have cast a long distance. It should have put a lot of darkness between them and that mountain. But you see very little. You see a lot of white snow. And interesting about they had the drone camera footage.
Yep, the drone
video. If you look at the compass on that drone camera footage, that compass was pointing north, almost fixed on north. Now, every once in a while, it would waver from north. I don't know quite how to explain that. Sometimes you can have the compass that points in the direction of the controller, and sometimes you can have the compass pointed in the direction of the drone, the direction the drone's pointing. So I'm not sure. I don't know what to make of that. I'm not familiar with that drone. Maybe one of your viewers might know something about drones, but when you look at the drone shots that they've published, the compass heading is kind of strange.
And plus, the Duffman Willie said that he got special permission from DJI to fly the drone and take it up certain heights. Because I do fly drones myself, and these things are programmed with lots of restrictions. You'll be flying in the sky and you'll hit walls, like barriers, restricted air zones, right? Like if you get close to the airport, there's many barriers that will stop you from going certain distances or close enough. And so they were able to get special permission.
Well, and,
so
and why wouldn't they?
Yeah,
why wouldn't they?
Again,
they're in the middle of nowhere. They're in the middle of nowhere. They should have been able to go up 2 miles. Yeah.
But obviously they had restrictions on flying a drone, because if they showed anything, if they did go up high and go anywhere, we would have been seeing the worldwide military from the Antarctic Treaty guarding the firmament or something close by, right? So they were very restricted and stayed to this little camp by the Mount Rossman there. And when they did any filming, it was at a separate area from the camp, a few miles away, like you said, because they had an excuse that the mountain was blocking out the sun.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show off the video.
You know,
quickly.
Go ahead.
Misdirection. I just wanted to bring up the video if you're done sharing that, because people are still waiting. I just want to see if it's run smoothly on here.
Well, let me just show you before you pull up that video. I'm going to show you one thing, and that is this misdirection. I just want to point it out. Have people read the article. It's very complicated, very detailed. But the bottom line is, if you recall, Jaron pointed. He drew with his, I guess, his boot, the direction of south in the snow. Well, there is an aerial photograph that they posted on the Final Experiment website. And it shows the south that he had put in the snow, but it's not pointing south. So what he put in the snow on their very website is actually pointed true north, not true south. So remember, his true south was supposed to be pointing towards Mount Rossman. And as we know, Mount Rossman is supposed to be south of where they were, but he was actually, it's pointed true north, which, and here we go, here's a blow up of it. You can see the S that he put in the sand pointing, but it's actually pointed true north. But you have to read the article and go into the details, but here's where he put it in the snow, pointing south, but it's actually true north. So there's Mount Rossman, but that's true north, but Mount Rossman should not have been true north, which suggests that's a graphic. But anyway, go ahead. You were going to play a video.
Yeah, we're going to go back to the Jaron GoPro footage quickly before we get too far away from it. So let me just make sure it's showing up so we can get a smooth running. And then you can narrate over the top of this with the cloud, because this one was a big slam dunk. So let's play this. There we go. So you can go ahead, Ed.
Yeah. And you'll see the cloud up there, and it's going down, 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 right behind the.
Yeah, so it did run smooth. Let's run it one more time, because this is a huge discrepancy, and I'm glad you were able to do the detective work and find this. And I'm going to definitely be sharing this a lot more and jumping over this, because what I see is exactly how you explained and described it. It's that cloud is not part of that fake sky.
Nope. And you can see the whole sky is morphing.
Unbelievable. So I'm glad we got to play that smoothly. So for all those that missed it earlier because it was freezing, that was the smooth footage there.
Okay.
And again, it's all on Ed's website, greatmountainpublishing.com. The link is in the description below also. So if anyone has any questions for Ed, post them in the comments right now, and I'll be able to see if we can get him to answer anything. Yeah, so again, we've just got a lot more evidence piling up against TFE as they're now starting to release more footage, even though it's coming on 3 months later now. So the editing is still taking its sweet time to get the right look that they need for this scam.
Well, the problem is they've already created a record of mistakes, and now they have a problem because all they're going to do is confirm that this whole thing is phony the more they let out.
Yes, everyone's just saying thank you here. I believe we had some comments way in the beginning. I just want to get back to them so they're not missed. We got Jailbreak Overlander, RFB, says, Ed, long time. How you doing? Joyce B says, so excited. Excellent guest. I have Ed Hendrie's book. I have given copies away as gifts too, from Joyce B. Some more here. Edward loved the Moses connection to truth, 2 Timothy 3:16 from Jedi Tech 71. Heresy Seed says, thank you for your efforts, Mr. Hendrie. Tecravo says, Edward, how can I get my book signed? Thank you in advance. So a lot of thanks going out to you, Mr. Hendrie. You've done an amazing report on this, and you did a great job presenting tonight. So thank you, and we definitely are going to want you to come back and explain more of your amazing work here. So yeah, I think what you shared tonight is enough for people to get hooked and check out your website and look into more of everything we've been exposing on this final experiment.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. It was good talking with you.
No, it's been great. I appreciate you coming on and sharing this brilliant information. Like, you're an author. You've put out some amazing books that I've had the pleasure of buying and owning, and a lot of people here also. So yeah, we definitely would love to have you back, and we know there's lots more debunking to do on the TFE. So yeah, I appreciate you very much, and thank you. And it's been a great having you. So if you'd like to say anything else, that's going to be it.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, Mr. Hendrie.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Incredible stuff. So mind-blowing information from Mr. Hendrie himself. We agreed to come on for an hour because after that, things can drag on, and people, things just get dragged on, like I said. So hopefully with this hour of having Edward on and going through his article, I got the website up here, add it back. So again, greatmountainpublishing.com. This is Edward Hendrie's website, and right here on the right-hand side in the orange box, we'll have all the recent articles, starting from the final experiment is not so final. Incredible. So I'm honestly in shock right now. It was amazing having him on. I have his book right here. So yeah, I probably want to get this signed too, but it was amazing having the opportunity to have him present his amazing work here at Crusaders of the Resistance. And we definitely will be talking to him again and doing a part 2, part 3, or however many parts it will take to put this fake experiment to rest, right? Bury it for good. Just get through some of the contents. Yes, that is a juice box. I love juice in boxes. Some adults like wine in boxes, right? Amazing breakdown. Yeah, he was incredible. Just again, confirming all the work we've already put out there with the virtual studios and all the vape gates and footprint gates. It's all coming together. All coming together. God bless you, Holly Baglio. Katie Stagg says, I gotta buy that book. Yeah, I'm not here trying to sell for him, but this book is on my shelf. I don't have many books. It's on the shelf with the Holy Bible, King James Version, and the Book of Enoch. And I have Edward Hendrie's The Greatest Lie on Earth, proof that our world is not a moving globe. So awesome, amazing stuff, says Salad. Yeah, Lord Brahma says he's definitely one of the kings of God's kingdom. Spectacular guest. Can't wait to watch from the beginning, says Patrick. Divine intervention. Yeah, it's been great from start to finish. Much love, guys, says Jedi Tech. Yeah, it is an amazing book. It's got pretty much everything in there. I'm hoping he does another version of this, part 2, because maybe I would be included in there somewhat, or maybe he'll just release the final experiment book. So we'll be staying in close touch with Mr. Hendrie. It was an amazing, great broadcast. This is a win for Yahushua's kingdom, says Holly Baglio. Great stuff as always. Can you show the book again? So I have my book copy here. I'll just bring up the website. Here it is on Amazon. TFE thought they're in the clear. Of course, we're going to keep throwing them on the floor with their fake moon landings 2.0. Exactly, Flat Earth Warriors. No one is in the clear. You know, I just don't need to obsess over them because the work's out there. And of course, other people will see it and come to the resistance. And like Edward Hendrie did, presented an amazing case tonight with absolute irrefutable evidence that goes against the final experiment. Juice boxes, yeah. So Tecrevo says, thank you, Nico. Thank you very much, brother. It's been a good stream. Wait till you see some of the other streams we got coming up this week. Yeah, 100. TFE are going to be facing their lying karma for quite some time. I can't wait to see that documentary. Preach. First I've ever heard of that book, says Jedi Tech. You're hearing about it now, and he's got many other good ones to check out. Hey, Sapphire. Thanks for that, Blue Octopus. I can't find the original 24-hour stream from Candace and Mark's Rumble. Thank you, King. Thank you, King Nico. Thank you, Edward Hendrie. Thank you to all in the chat room tonight, as well as to the viewers who see the archives. I love you guys, and thank you again. Praise Yahweh for Yahushua. God bless you, Holly. We love Holly Baglio here. Thank you, says Miss Rex Murphy. Part 2, TFE, the final excrement. I didn't see that as typos, Holly, but thank you for correcting. It's been a good stream. Yes, Duffy's demise. Thanks, Nico, says Crystal Gem, night all. We knew, World of Lies says, I knew the TFE was BS from the beginning. Everyone awake to the flat earth truth would know this. Thanks to Edward Hendrie for exposing the TFE shills. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much, Edward Hendrie. Again, I feel like I'm living in a movie, in a dream. I've been communicating I've been in communicating and in talks with a lot of people, not just Edward Hendrie, who is epic, but many others that I can't wait to introduce you all to and share and present some more of this God-loving truth and information, the way Edward started this live today with all the biblical connections and why they are doing this and what is the purpose of all of this deception is because they are hiding our Father, our Creator, our God that never left us, that didn't disappear galaxies and light years away across a vast, endless universe. He has remained right above us, close by, ever loving, ever watching, ever graceful. He is right there, and that's what they have done, is to create these deceptions and lies to hide him. Preach it. So we're going to end this live. It's been a great hour. Please, everyone, I would really appreciate if you like the video, share it, leave some comments after the fact. I'll do my best to get any of those comments to Edward, to have him answer them for you. I'll do my best to reply to everything. Scripted Reality says, are you and RV going to do another live stream soon? I'd love to. Again, I'm not one that likes to come on the internet too often, but when there's something to talk about and something to expose, then yes, definitely, I'm always up for it. I'm going to be doing some transpocalypse topics coming up, some Tartaria topics coming up. So if RV or RFB or anyone in the community wants to get on board and present some amazing truth, some biblical prophecies, because that's what we do here at Crusaders of the Resistance, is prove Bible prophecy. Great live. Jesus is King, says Patrick, divine intervention. Yeah, we love it when you're on here. Nico says salad. Appreciate it. So I'm glad. So when I do come on, I come on and hopefully bring in something great, not just coming on to be seen. Definitely don't want to be doing that. God bless. So Miss Rex Murphy is reading Confusion in Christianity. It is a flat earth book recommended by RFB. So thank you for that. Thank you, RFB. God bless everyone. Wow. So we're going to have to do a recap on this. What can I quickly say to recap this before I end this live? We had Edward Hendrie on today to present some evidence against TFE. He is the author of this book that a lot of us own and keep close by. It's like a flat earth Bible, basically. He's a God-loving man. He gave us some nice Bible scripture. He gave us some discrepancies from GoPro cameras from Jaren, clouds not attached to the sky but attached to the lens and the camera, because that's more proof that they're in a stage setting with a fake sky that is LEDs and rear projected. It's all coming out. It's incredible stuff. That the footage, he gave us some in-depth review on the lines that were found in one of the videos that they end up going back and editing. We got some compass and some direction discrepancies with which direction is south. Everyone from TFE pointed south to different directions. So excellent stuff. I'm glad we did this. I'll be sending Edward a message later to thank him and send him the link to the video. So hopefully he will share it out to his community also. And yeah, that's going to be it for tonight. It's been great, everyone. I hope you all have a great rest of your evenings. Jesus is coming soon. We are in the biblical end of days. I am King Nico, Crusaders of the Resistance. We are out.